Alrighty. Alrighty. I wanted to make a video. I want to get people's thoughts on. I just want to get people's thoughts on this. Let me adjust this a little bit. I think the last one I did had a lot of pops, and I don't want to get a lot of pops and B's and B's. So I wanted to get people's opinion on this because I honestly think there's going to be some pros and cons to going to a NAMM show, just like it would be some pros and cons to any type of show like that. And I just want to hear y'all thoughts on that. What do you think are your pros and your cons to going to like a NAMM show? I'm going to tell you what I think my pros and cons would be. I think one of the pros would be you get a chance to see the gear, right? Another pro would be a lot of times you get to interact with the manufacturers of the gear. So it's almost like, to me, it's like when you walk in a Guitar Center, or if you've been to the Sweetwater in Indiana, or Sam Ash Music, or any music store, or any place that sells a lot of music gear. It's almost like walking in, like it's like sending a kid into a candy store. You know, a lot of times we get the drooling, we see microphones or, you know, that interface or, you know, whatever the case, some cables or speakers or just a whole bunch of stuff that you like, and especially stuff that's on your wish list. But the great thing about the NAMM shows what I think is a pro is actually being able to have representatives talk about the gear. So I think that would be the pro. Now here is what I think would be the con. The con would be if you suffer from gas, like I suffered from gas / suffer from gas. In other words, gear acquisition syndrome. It's almost at the same time sending an alcoholic to a wine tasting competition, you know, or almost sending an alcoholic to it's like sending them to a place where they make beer or whatever the type of alcohol or whatever. You know, it's kind of like sending them to the manufacturer to test every type of alcoholic drink known to man. That would be the con. So, because what's going to happen, and this is what I always see from the NAMM shows every year, they always have gear that make you want it, but at the same time doesn't always necessarily mean that you need it, especially if you already have gear where you're already making great recordings for what you already have. For example, in my studio, I have everything I need to make great music, record, mix, engineer, great music. You know, from the music, from the instruments to basically to the software, to the plugins. So in actuality, for me, no matter what new pieces of gear they have out there, I really don't need it because I'm already able to make music for what I have. Now, that's the con. One more pro would be here's another pro to the NAMM shows. And they also do this for the AES shows, Audio Engineering Society. Now, if I didn't say it, let me say it now. If I didn't say it. For those that are new to the channel, if this is your first time watching, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when I'm posting a new video. Also, definitely share the video and write some comments, and I would definitely like a thumbs up. For all that being said, thanks. It's because it doesn't cost anything. And of course, if I make a video you're not interested in, of course you don't have to watch that particular video. With all that being said, I will say this: The only one of the advantages to going to a NAMM show would be, let's say you already have some gear, but you need to make an upgrade, you know, and there's a particular piece of gear that you're like, well, I have this older one, but I need an upgrade because I need the better version to help me do what I need to do. Then I can definitely understand that. But one of the things that I always see, and it seems like there are certain companies that are going to get priority, because I know a lot of those vendors that apply for, you know, that they will definitely put in a bid to get a, I guess you call them kiosks, or, you know, there is a definite, it's kind of like, you know, when you go to the mall, there's different little, you know, little vendors within the hallways of different companies that are selling stuff or whatever. It's the same thing. They all have to get a slot to present their gear. But it seems like there's going to be some people that are just going to definitely be able to monopolize getting themselves a seat, such as SSL and Neve and what other companies? Maybe Pro Tools, you know, as a DAW company, and things like that. All the other vendors will have to, because they only have so much space. Now, if you look at, to say this to end this, on this portion, one thing I can say is there are so many companies that make gear that will not ever, a lot of these companies will not be able to attend the NAMM show for you to see what their latest and greatest gear is. So a lot of times you have to go to their actual particular company's website. So that can kind of be a con, because there just isn't enough space. And I'll use microphones as an example. There are probably 125 different microphone manufacturers, and some people probably don't realize that it's that many, you know, but I'll just name a few, you know, ranging from, of course, there's Behringer, there is Lawton, there is MXL, there's Warm Audio makes theirs, Damn Audio makes theirs, there is Telefunken, there is Newman, or Noman, how you want to pronounce it. There is, I mean, and I'm just trying to think. There's Rode microphones. There is 80K. There is Golden Age. There is, as far as microphones, there's Sennheiser. There's Shure. There's, the list is wide. Can you imagine just how many booths or sections there would be just for microphones? Let's not even get into preamps, you know, and we're ranging from Neve again, SSL, you know, wow, there's probably if I look at it, Dayking makes preamps. There's Personas makes preamps. There's let me look at mine. You know, I have Joe Meek preamps, Universal Audio. There is Avalon. Once again, Warm Audio makes preamps. There's Stem Audio makes preamps. There's Heritage Audio, Ventec. Imagine how many booths would be just in preamps. Yet alone studio monitors. I mean, and not just the ones that we can afford. You know, whether it's whether it's KDKs or even some, you know, the Yamaha HS10s or whatever, or the Adams. There is, I mean, we can get it ranging anywhere from Westlake Audio. There is, you get into ATCs. There is, JBLs like I got, Genelec, Barefoot, I said Adams, of course. Adams. There is Barefoots, of course. There is ATCs. There's just I'm trying to think the studio monitor, because there's at least 75 to 80, if not more, just the studio monitors. Because you imagine that, then cable companies, people that make cables. Can you imagine console makers and that's just that. We didn't even get into like analog consoles like this Allen Heath, or digital consoles like, I mean, there's Midas, there's Personas, Behringer, Yamaha, there is Digikill, and then that's just, and on top of that, I'm eating up time just talking about name brand. Can you imagine just guitars? You know, the amount of guitars out there, and bass guitars, and drum sets, and cymbals, keyboard manufacturers. The list just gets, I mean, what is that? Sound like something's on my roof. But I'm about to go outside because it sounded like something was on my roof. But the list goes on and on and on, and not just that, but you know, getting into, it would be so many booths that you would not be able to see and that's just hardware. I'm talking about, there's so many companies out there, from Tigler Audio, Millennia, West Audio, Tonex, there's Meg, you know, we're talking EQs, compressors, Universal Audio. The list just gets ridiculous. I would bet, out of everything, of every manufacturer, and I'm even skipping some of the stuff I own, like Elisa's. You know, there's Midas, there's Clark Technic, I'm skipping so many names of companies, from Yamaha to TC Electronics to Lexicon. Can you imagine? And that's just gear, yet alone software. How many DAW companies would be out there? DAW controllers, MIDI controllers. Can you imagine if every company could, you know, because if I was to, if realistically, for everything that we do musically out there, if I was to bet, we're probably talking 1,500 different manufacturers, if not more, maybe 2,000 manufacturers of gear, of hardware and software. A lot. We didn't even got to like Harkey, you know, bass cabinets. I mean, just EVH, or just so many guitar cabinets, you know, Fender. So let me quit yapping my gums, and I want to get y'all thoughts on all that about the NAMM shows, because I've never been to one. I thought about going to a NAMM show. Think about those pros and cons. I know one thing about the con would be if you have gear acquisition syndrome, you may not want to go, because then you're like, nah, I want that. You're just feeding into your gear acquisition syndrome once again. But it might be also, if you have self-control and realize every representative of a lot of those companies there were like, well, yeah, that's a nice product, but I just don't need that. You know, I've got something that I need. I already got good for my studio for that. So you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons. Should you go to the NAMM? And think about that for a second, especially if you watch videos of people uploading. Most people are always excited about going for the gear. and the products. But once again, if you got a gas problem, I'm just saying. Because one thing about this studio business, it will bleed your pockets dry if you are not careful. You can go broke real fast. So that's going to do it. Give me your thoughts about going to these type of shows. And that's going to do it. And we'll see you in the next one.